I'm Denny Brower. I've been fishing professionally for over 30 years, and whether you fish for a living or whether you just fish on weekends for fun, very important to take care of your reels. Ardent's got a complete line of reel care products that will work for you and take care of your reels. Reels are a huge investment. Why not keep them like new? Use the Ardent reel products, and those products will work for you. Let's start with the spinning reel. I'm going to take you through a few easy steps. Obviously, the first thing you need to do is disassemble. What I do is unscrew your drag knob, get it off, take your spool off, and then let's take the handle off. That's very, very important. Unscrew your cap, pull your handle out. All right, now you got all your parts, and you can get to what needs to be cleaned. Just start with your Real Clean cleaner and give it a bath. Don't be afraid to put too much on. Use one of the synthetic swabs. Don't be afraid to get in there. Use a brush, whatever. Some reels are going to be a little dirtier than others. Use your own judgment. I kind of like to let it set for a while. Give it like 5 minutes to dry. All these products are citrus based. Your second step is lubricating the reel. I normally start out with the grease on the bail, and just each side of that, just take your Ardent grease, kind of let it work in there. You want to keep that bail where it's real free to where it doesn't hang up on you. I work that back and forth a couple of times. Next, I go to the Real Butter oil. This is a very fine oil. This is 100% pure, which makes a huge difference. It's a light oil. It penetrates into the metal. You don't have to worry about whether it's plastic, whether it's brass. It's going to adhere to all of that. High quality stuff. For those of you that really want to take lubricating your reels to the next level, we've got Ardent Reel Supreme Micro Lube. It'll actually reduce friction another 30%. Some really good stuff. The final step that I do is I take the bearing lube, I work it in. One thing to keep in mind about bearing lube, this does not contain graphite. Graphite can actually make a reel noisier. Put a little bit of that in there. Then I'm ready to reassemble my reel. Slip the handle back in, tighten everything up. The handle's ready to go. Slip my spool back down on the shaft. Make sure you get it all the way down. Then you can take your drag cap, screw it back on. That's all there is to it. The next step, obviously, is we condition. What I do is I get the Ardent line butter, and I keep this in my boat at all times. This stuff really helps. Gets rid of a lot of the headaches that you can encounter. And I actually saturate the lines, what I do. A lot of times I'll do this the night before. Say I'm in a tournament, I spool up. I'll sit and saturate that line before I put the rod and reel back into the rod locker. And what this does, it gets rid of memory, it gets rid of line twist, gives you more casting distance. This works equally well with monofilament, fluorocarbon, or braid. I even spray it on my guides. I mean, this stuff lubricates the guides where you can get a little more casting distance there too. I never ever get my boat without the line butter. Very good stuff. It'll take away a lot of those problems you encounter with casting in regards to line. One other thing when it comes to conditioning, especially for your saltwater anglers where you have to worry about corrosion, we got the reel guard. And what I do is I just spray it all over your reel to try to get rid of that grit and grime and salt water that could get on those parts. And another place a lot of people don't think about is in fresh water where you have hard water. We deal with that when we're at lakes like Lake Mead, Lake Amistad down in Texas. Got a lot of lime in the water. You get all that white stuff, corrosion type stuff on your reel. This reel guard will get rid of that. So saltwater use, freshwater use in hard water, get you some reel guard, and don't be afraid to use it. Spray it on there, it'll save you some serious problems. One last thing, I take the super soft cloth out of the kit and I give the reel a nice wipe down, any of the extra lubricant or conditioner I might have on there. I cleaned it up, get it looking good. It's a beautiful reel. Keep it looking that way. Now let's move on to bait casters. The first thing we do with the bait caster, obviously, is disassemble it. And with the ARDENT bait caster, we got that little switch right there that releases the side plate. And then we take the spool out. And I like to go over and also remove the little tension knob. It's a very, very important feature on bait casters, obviously to keep you from getting a backlash, but also a good place to use your lubricant. The other thing you can do, you can take the little nose plate off. That allows you to get to your worm gear and get to your other gears a lot easier to get the lube where it needs to be. And that's all I do as far as disassembling the ARDENT bait caster. But once again, always consult your owner's manual. You might be using a different type of reel. I want to know why, the best or the ARDENT, but if you are, go ahead and consult that manual so that you don't mess up when you disassemble your reel. The first step, once again, is cleaning the reel, cleaning the parts, and getting them ready. I like to use the aerosol can of Reel Clean. It's got the little applicator there where you can get in them hard to get places. And don't be afraid to really saturate. What you're trying to do is get rid of the grit, the grime, your old grease, your old oil. You want to get it ready to totally put new stuff in there. So you got to get rid of the old stuff. This applicator really helps you do that. Man, can you get to every little nook and cranny with that? You can get to the worm gear and then go back to your spool. Do the same thing with that. Make sure there's no grit or grime. I even like the tension knob. I'll clean it up, make sure that's all clean. Your end cap, I'll go ahead and get the grit and grime out of that. And once I get that, if there are any hard to get places, I will use the little synthetic swab. And at times, if they're really bad, I'll go ahead and use the brush and work that with the cleaner until I get all that grit and grime out of that reel. And then I'm going to let all these parts and let the reel sit for maybe 5 minutes, let it all dry before I go to the next step. I take the ARDENT reel butter grease and I get the worm gear right here. And I make sure I really rub that in and work it in, because that's a very important little feature right there. And then I go to your main gear here, your crankshaft gear, and I do the same thing with the grease on it. Make sure I hit all little parts. And then I go with the reel butter oil, and I like to put just a little dab right there. And then where I took the tension knob off, this is another place I put just a little bit. And then I take your spool shaft and I make sure I saturate it and get that reel butter oil all over both ends of that. The last step in the lubricating process is get your ARDENT bearing lube and you get your side plate bearing right here and really make sure you get that good. That's a very, very important little feature right there on not only making your reels quiet, but getting extra casting distance. And then you got your little spool shaft bearing. Make sure you get it real good with the bearing lube, and you've got everything covered. The next step, obviously, is putting it back together. The first thing I do is the little tension knob right here. Very, very important feature on all bait casters. And I don't tighten it all the way up. I take it about halfway, but you need to remember this, is once you get your reel all assembled again, you put it on your rod, you get your line on, now it's time to adjust your tension knob. Pull that rod straight out, put it in free spool, and you should adjust this so that the lure will pull the line off the spool, but once the lure hits the floor, the spool stops turning. If you adjust it that way, backlashes are a thing of the past. Makes it very, very user-friendly. So always remember, the tension knob, to me, is one of the most important features on a bait casting reel. Now I'll take the spool, put it back in. Now we'll take the side plate, slip it in, just like that. Pull our little catch up. We're assembled. We're ready to go fishing. The third and final step is conditioning. I take the line butter once I get all spooled up, and I just saturate that spool. Turn it around, make sure you get all parts of it. I'll normally do that the night before, like I said earlier, so it can soak. And the thing about bait casters, backlashes with some reels can be a problem. That will help eliminate some of your backlash issues. And we did talk about the reel guard. You fish saltwater, you fish lakes that have a lot of corrosion issues, lime, etc. Don't be afraid to use this, and use it very, very liberally on your reel. And then take your cloth, wipe it down, clean it up, keep it looking good. Ardent Reel Care. Take care of the reels that take care of you.
It's not easy being a reel. You take on lakes, rivers, oceans. Your line retrieves algae, mud, salt, and various other grit and grime to muck up all your parts. But no matter what you face, with Ardent Reel Care every 3,000 casts, you're always ready to go to work. Clean, lubricate, condition. Ardent Reel Care. Take care of the reels that take care of you. How many casts before a reel fails? Hard to say. That's why we recommend Ardent Reel Care every 3,000. Because the next cast you make could be the one you'll never forget. Clean, lubricate, condition. Ardent Reel Care. Take care of the reels that take care of you.